quilters, happy October. This month we are going to be sewing block 9, and as I've been explaining to you, this is the last month of traditional piecing. Beginning next month, we're not going to make one block. We're going to be making settings and borders. And a setting is when you're going to take these blocks and put them into a larger piece of something, and I think you all know what borders are. So next month we're going to be working on settings, and the month after that we'll be working on a pieced border. The last month, month 12, I think we're missing something in there. There might be another month of borders. But anyway, you get the idea. This is the last month where we're only going to make one block. So to help you guys get caught up, to give you some motivation, remember, if by Halloween you bring all 9 blocks, so every block you've made so far, including October's, including block 9, if you bring them in to the shop and show them to us, we will give you a gift. We have had 2 people who were, they had to make an alternate arrangement with us, and they've already gotten their gift, and they both seemed very happy with it. So this month, everybody is going to get something. This month, this block, I had a really fun time creating this block. And the directions were really, really well written right up until the very end. And the end is fine if you have quilted before. If you've ever done any traditional piecing before, the end is fine. But for anybody who's brand new, who this is the first quilt they've made, or the first quilt they've made on their own, or the first time they're sewing on their own at home, this last step can be a little confusing. So up until you get to here, everything is great. And then after that, these are the directions. You zooming in, Claire Bear? Mm-hmm. Okay. It says assemble the block. And it gives you this diagram, which is your assembly diagram, and then it gives you this picture, which is a picture of your finished block. Now, that can seem a little confusing, especially when your block up till that point is going to kind of look like this. Now, I've got some pieces already sewn together. This and this are sewn together. But prior to that, these are the units that you have constructed. You've got all of these pieces, and then they tell you to arrange your segments and sew in rows following the block plan. Now, we've taught enough classes by this point to know that people get a little confused by that, because what does that mean exactly? What order should I sew them in? And that is something that you kind of have to think through, okay? So what you need to do is look carefully at your block, and what you'll see is they've got this line separated from this row, separated from this row. So you can see down here, this is my last row I've sewn together. So what you want to do is get everything to be an equal size. Your middle section here, I can't remember what this measures. It's 5.5 or 6 inches square. Might be 6.5. But anyway, you've got to get enough, you've got to get these pieces to slide together so they match up like this. Somebody was just in the shop yesterday telling me how much they loved jigsaw puzzles. And there are a lot of quilters who love jigsaw puzzles, and I think this is why. Because to me, final block construction is kind of like putting together a jigsaw puzzle. So what you have to do is sew these together. So it'll look like this piece here. And then you sew this row together. And then up here, you sew these together. You're going to sew this whole row together, so you get a strip that looks like this. So you've got this at the bottom and at the top, and this in the middle, and then you just join your 3 rows together. If ever you have a pattern like this and you're confused by it, all you have to do is bring it in and show us and ask. And we're happy to help you figure that out. I do want to tell you something though. If you decided to sew, you have to sew these together or they don't make sense. But if you decided to sew this to this, pretend this one isn't here right now, and then to this, and then you sewed these together and this together and joined them this way, that would also be okay. Just so long as you don't wind up in a situation, hold on one second. Where you've joined things in such a way that you can't sew straight lines. So if somehow you manage to sew all of this together like this, and then you had this piece and this piece, that's going to be a little bit harder to sew together. There is a way to do it, as I'm sure some of you can see, but what you want to do is end up so that you've got rows. You're always quilting in rows. When you're piecing a top, you're always putting them together in rows. You're not quilting in rows, you're piecing in rows. For those of you that are going to want to call in tomorrow and ask, this Handy Dandy design wall is simply a piece of poster board with an old scrap of batting sewn on top. And it works really, really well. I've got a bunch of these laying around the house. They drive everybody crazy. But, so that's your final step. Once you have the block constructed, and I just think this block is so cute. I don't know why. I just think it's really a neat looking block. Once you've got this one, bring this plus all 8 of the remaining blocks to the shop, and you will get a prize, okay? Have fun stitching this month. Any problems, come and see us. We're always happy to help.